Do you think Germans are racist towards students and migrants?
You will have one person on the street saying, calling you tikka masala, and then the next person you will have who will have the most well-groomed upbringing, who will have the best vocabulary, and have a very clever way of masking their racist undertone. Now, when people call me tikka masala, I always say still better than currywurst. Rents have increased so much, and it's no surprise. When I moved to Germany, the student dorm that I used to pay 196 euros a month for, that same dorm now costs about 300 euros. There is inflation, there is price rise in so many different things. More than AfD, it's the thinking that the AfD represents and pushes that is more dangerous. AfD is not as much a threat to international students as much as the idea of AfD is.
If you're planning to study or even move to Germany, pretty sure you've come across the Meet the German series. It is one of my favorite series on YouTube and it covers topics from German life, food, culture, and even daily experiences. And today we have Shabnam Surita, who is not just the host of the Meet the German series, but also a journalist at DW, a researcher from Bonn, and kind of a musician as well. This conversation with Shabnam is something that no matter if you're a student or a working professional, you will learn a lot from this video. From German politics, inflation, German culture, racism in Germany, there are a lot of things to take away from the video. There are chapter markers below for all the topics we have covered in this video, and I hope you enjoy this video as much as we enjoyed while making it. So, I have done a very basic job of an introduction, so I would want you to introduce yourself.
Thank you, first of all, for that extremely exaggerating introduction of mine. I mean, those are my job descriptions. Like, I am a journalist, I am a researcher. Musician, I wouldn't say it's much of a job as much as it's a passion. I used to be very actively involved in music when I was living in India, in the Bengali TV film industry, a little bit here and there. But now I'm full-time journalist, struggling to also be a full-time researcher. I'm actually finishing my PhD at the University of Bonn on South Asian studies, interestingly. And that's what got me to Germany, not journalism. Journalism happened later. I tell stories, be it in a journalistic form or in an academic form, in languages that I can speak and communicate in. And even if I sing sometimes to myself, I like to think that I'm actually interpreting or telling myself or the people who are listening to me a story. So yeah, that's basically who I am.
That's for someone who was going to say, I'm going to wing the introduction. You did a very good job at the introduction. For those of you who don't know, Shabnam here did her bachelor's in India, and then she didn't go to Germany. She went to Denmark, and then she went to Germany for a PhD. So my first question is not related to Germany. My first question is, why did you move to Europe? What was
So
it?
I did my bachelor's and master's first in India in Jadavpur University in Kolkata in political science and international relations. And when I was doing my master's, finishing my master's, actually, I got this scholarship, the Erasmus Mundus scholarship, where I got the chance to very interestingly study South Asian studies in Denmark in Aarhus University. And I think that's the first time when I learned to look at India or Indians or also who I am, where I come from an outsider's perspective. Like I had never left India before. I was always there. I studied, everything that I did was very India centered. And in 2015, when I moved to Denmark, it completely changed my outlook because for the first time I was learning how to look at my own society, my own culture from an outsider's perspective. So after that, I decided to do my PhD, and while I was doing some research, I stumbled upon University of Bonn, where I am still enrolled as a PhD student. And I also got in touch with my PhD supervisor, Professor Carmen Brandt, who, by the way, speaks fluent Bengali and Hindi.
Wow.
So it's very difficult to get away with her with anything. So that's when I got in touch with her and I applied, and yeah, I landed myself in Bonn. But the reason that you asked me why I went to Denmark was, first of all, paisa mil raha tha, like there was scholarship.
Yeah.
Like, and if you ask a middle class Indian student, you go where the scholarship is. And not only about the scholarship, it was not only about the scholarship, but it was also about just the academic heritage that the department brought with itself. I was in Aarhus University at the Culture and Society department, and it was just such a cool time meeting so many professors, not only from the Nordic countries, but also from India, who came to Aarhus University to teach us. Big names from Delhi University, Professor Janki Abraham, all big names were there. They were teaching us, and I felt so touched by their knowledge, by their kindness, also what it means to really be a good teacher to inquisitive minds. So yeah, I fell in love immediately.
That is a academic love story, I feel. God.
Yeah, until you start writing the PhD.
Yeah, that is a never-ending process, I would say. You mentioned the Erasmus Mundus scholarship, and it was a later question, but I really want to
Yeah, yeah.
do it now because it is a very famous scholarship. A lot of people know about it now in India. I feel like when even I started making videos with Bharat, I don't think so a lot of people knew about this, but you did this years ago. Like, I don't think so. I was even in a degree college when you did this.
When I applied and when I got in, so basically there are two kinds of Erasmus Mundus scholarships. Let me clarify that in the beginning. There's one where you get to go as an exchange student for like 1 or 2 semesters, and the other where you do a full program, a 2 year program or a 1 year program. Interestingly, the guy I'm married to, my childhood love and now my husband, he also did an Erasmus Mundus scholarship program, but he did a 2 year full master's program, digital communication and leadership. But what I did was a 10-month, 2 semester exchange program. Back then it was called, wait, I will treat myself to chocolate if I can still name the scholarship. Yes, Interdisciplinary Bridges in Indo-European Studies, IBIES, that's what it was called back then.
Wow.
And it was mainly aimed at students from India to same thing, to study
Yeah.
about their thing in Europe, and it would also bring European students to Indian university. It was a two-way
Yeah.
exchange process,
Bilateral program. Yeah.
bilateral program, and Jadavpur University was a part of this cohort. And when I applied, it was one of those universities which was eligible under this program, and I went as an exchange student, even though I had already finished my master's back then, so there was nothing to really exchange or exchange credits, but that's what it was. I would actually like to credit the information or like getting informed about this to my university where I did my bachelor and master's. Because if you say 2015 was early enough, in 2013, I had seniors going to Europe to do their PhDs and masters with this scholarship. And we didn't have so much of, informing yourself through YouTube or Facebook or Instagram
Yeah.
back then. Facebook was still there, but it was mainly where the papas and mamas
Yeah.
would upload 500 pictures,
Yeah.
of like a garden, plants and some things like that. And it's only later that this informing yourself through internet became popular. Back then, our main source of information were our seniors, our professors, and also sometimes the university itself. We would have these posters printed out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The analog way, as
The
they call
complete
it,
offline way.
complete offline way, and it worked. It worked for me.
Now I feel it's been like what, almost 10, more than 10 years, right? You are in Germany, Denmark, and I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure
yeah.
you've visited a lot more countries. I mean,
Yeah, I don't keep count anymore. I started
yeah.
keeping count in 2015, and then I was like, it's pointless.
So, how has the experience been? Because you qualify as a person who has been there for so long that you are almost a native person now. You're native.
My grammar will say otherwise, but it was very different because, I don't come from Kolkata, the city where I left for Europe. I come from Assam. I come from not only Assam but also Silchar, a very small town on almost near the border of Bangladesh. That's where I was born and raised, and that's where I did my schooling until I was 13. I moved to Kolkata when I was 13. So even Kolkata was a culture shock in itself for me. And then, like 10 years later, I moved to Europe. I moved to Europe when I was 23. The weather was a huge shocker, a huge shocker. Because the first apartment where I landed in, thankfully, I had a flatmate, Sona. She was also in the same scholarship from India. They had forgot to turn on the heating, and it was September. They didn't think that two Indian girls would need the heating, and it was on the North Sea, It was freezing cold, and I remember sleeping the first couple of nights wearing all the woolens I had because that's the only way you could sleep in peace. That was my first shock. But I think we all of us, regardless of where we have to move away from home, even if it is in a new neighborhood within our hometown or somewhere else, we all have our own set of first new shock
True.
experiences, irrespective of the geography or the culture that you land yourself in. So yeah, for Denmark, coming from India, the weather was a huge shocker, and the lack of people on the streets.
Oh.
I was like, where
I
are the
feel
people?
those are the that is a very common, at
Yeah,
least
yeah.
those 2 points are very common for everyone who
And I
come.
had never been to any Western countries. The only
Yeah.
foreign experience I had before this was Bangladesh, which is not foreign enough for
It's
me.
not. It's actually more
So,
crowded than India.
yeah, and
So
I speak the same language, so it does not count as a foreign country
I
for me.
have a few friends who have come to Germany this year, one to Denmark as well, and they're like,
Mhm.
it's so silent that I can hear my thoughts, but it's
Yeah,
so cold that I'm not able to think properly. And I'm like, yeah,
exactly.
you encapsulate the entire European experience
Yeah,
quite well.
I experienced my tears freezing
Oh God, oh that is.
one day because
It's
my eyes were watering and I went to throw the garbage and I came home inside and I was like,
why
this
is
is
the snowflakes
new.
on?
This is new.
Now I want to like quickly do a drive through your work life.
Hmm.
I know you, and mostly everyone else knows you from the Meet the German series, which I feel is one of the longest running series. It's loved by everyone. It's one of the most famous ones as well. And I have watched a lot of them. Like, I've watched a lot of these episodes for my uh, being very honest, for my own content ideas as well.
Of course.
And and
We all do this.
yeah, it's a own feedback loop. We
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
him, they watch us, they watch us, like complete
We
circle.
all watch each other, this bubble that we have created for ourselves.
Yeah. And I really love what you guys put out there. It's amazing. It's really well made. And I just want to start with you. How did you end up at DW? What was the journey from, like, in my head? It's this freshly, not exactly freshly graduated because you've done a master's as well, but this graduated student from Kolkata who went for an exchange program in Denmark and now is an editor and host at Deutsche Welle. So, wow.
So basically, when I was in India, I was already doing some television work. Like I was hosting some TV shows for young people with music and stuff like that. I actually was hosting radio shows when I was 8 years old. So back then, I was doing all India radio hosting for children's shows and stuff like that. Then I moved to TV when I got older. I would do a lot of music show hostings and stuff like that. So I was not completely camera unfriendly, to put it like that. And I was also writing. I was also writing for some newspapers, but like short columns. I also had my own blog back then when blog was still a thing. Would write. So writing and being in front of the camera were things that were not too foreign for me back when I was in India. When I moved here, and when I moved to Bonn, and that's where Deutsche Welle's headquarters are as well. I actually wanted to do an internship at the DW Bengalis team because they were doing great work. They still do. They were doing great work with putting out content about Bengali speakers from around the world, especially in Western Europe. And I actually started out as an intern at the DW Bangla team. This was in 2018. And right after my internship, I started working in the same team as a freelancer. I was actually working as a freelance, how do I say it in English, redactionelle, editorial employee, let's put it that way.
Okay.
So I was a freelancer who was doing a lot of journalistic chores, let's put it that way, like, sourcing for pictures, putting things together, doing short news adaptations slowly. And I slowly learned on the trade. I learned on the go. I spent almost 4 years as a freelancer on this job, which was a great side gig as a PhD student because we know how much wealth of money that PhD students make
Exactly. They
graduate,
are
right?
so rich. They are
Yeah,
millionaires.
yeah. It's a great way to pay for my rent and also improve my German. So almost 4 years I worked in the Bengali team. And then I applied for the Deutsche Welle Volontariat. The Volontariat is like an international traineeship program where 12 people from around the world are trained in multimedia journalism, and then either they end up in Deutsche Welle if they want to, or they go somewhere else. So while I was doing the voluntariat, or the Volo as we call it, I got the opportunity to work with Meet the Germans, because Rachel, who's my colleague and who was the previous host, Rachel's season had come to an end, and they were looking for somebody with a different perspective on Germany to take over the season. As a matter of fact, I have been the biggest Rachel Stewart fan ever in the history of Rachel Stewart fans, I think. And as a Volo, she did a session with us, the trainees, and she was waiting at a cafe, and we were supposed to meet at 6, and I appeared at 5 just so I could talk to her
Oh,
about work and
wow.
take a selfie with her. I still have that selfie. And a couple of months later, this materialized, and the job that I got after finishing the voluntariat is the job that you mentioned, like editor and host. But I don't only work for Meet the Germans. I only do Meet the Germans for 2 weeks a month. The other 2 weeks a month, I actually
Yeah.
work for DW Bangla, and I do a YouTube show, which focuses on establishing positive dialogue between Bangla speakers or Bengali speakers in India and Bangladesh. So there's basically two sides of me on Deutsche Welle.
Yeah.
One where I speak in Bangla and I'm in Bangla, and the other where I'm introducing Germany to the
Yeah.
world.
Content which you put out, what
Yeah.
purpose does it serve?
So Deutsche Welle is Germany's international public broadcaster, which means we broadcast content for our international audience. Meaning we don't, Deutsche Welle does not broadcast or telecast its content in Germany or German-speaking countries. Like we don't, you can't turn on the TV and find Deutsche
Yeah.
Welle in Germany, Austria, Switzerland. But if you go to France, you'll find DW. If you go to England, you'll find DW on the TV. That's the agreement between all the other German TV channels like ZDF, WDR, and all the
Yeah.
others that we have. And since it's an international, it's an Auslandssender, as they say in German, the international broadcaster. DW produces content in 32, 33 languages now. So it's not that Germans are making content in Bangla, but Germans are making content in Bangla and 31 other languages, including Hindi, Urdu, Tamil, Arabic, Spanish,
Yeah.
so many, so many others. And it's not that Germans are making Bangla content, it's Germans are behind Bengalis who are making Bangla content. It's actually native speakers
Yeah.
who make this content. And the reason why we do it is that, the whole point is DW believes in giving information, giving fact-based information to people in regions where it may be sometimes difficult to get them, not all the time though. And if you look at our offerings, and I can only speak for the Bengali team or the cultural English content that I do for Bangla, most of the work that we do, most of the content that we make are aimed at people who want to know more either about Europe, about Germany, about the European values, about the German values, the society, the culture, all of that, but also get fact-based information from the region, which may not be sometimes easy for
Totally. Yeah.
locals. Like DW Bangla has correspondents in Bangladesh, in India. We have a bureau in New Delhi from where it works. And since it's very easy for us to get, how do I put it? To fact check claims in other languages, because we have people, for example, if I
Yeah.
show you a Russian video and be like, oh, in this video these people are saying blah 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 blah, I am not just dependent on the internet, but I can actually go to real people who speak the language, who are come from the region, who have that regional expertise to give feedback on how to look at a certain piece of news. And I think that's something a lot of newsrooms miss. So when I am, for example, asked for a perspective on something, I not only give my perspective that I have as a person, but I also bring in the regional perspective that I have on a certain issue or a certain topic, be it the German elections, be it the way I see German society, or even German bread, for example. I bring in not only my Indian take on it, but also my Bengali take, my
Yeah.
Sylheti take, everything. And that's how diverse our almost all of the teams are, and I think that's what makes that's what gives extra credibility to the work we do. And also on Meet the Germans, we have a lot of, we have many Germans on the team, of course.
Yeah.
And each of our scripts go through something called a German check. We get it checked by a German to see we are not making assumptions.
I want to know. You have been a part of the Meet the German series for so long. You have been a part of the team. What is one of your best moments while shooting? Something funny, something memorable, something which happened is
Oh.
like, oh, this is ingrained in my memory.
I mean, we have something from almost every episode. So because in Meet the Germans we had two versions, one where we had a longer YouTube videos, and now we mostly do shorter
Short,
Instagram reels. Uh, and this is from the time when we were doing the YouTube thing, and there was this episode about alcohol in Germany, alcohol consumption in Germany.
yeah.
The segment that we were shooting was me trying new German alcohol or things that I had never tried in my whole life. And somehow the planning happened in such a way that this part of the shoot was scheduled at 8:30 a.m. And this was me drinking schnapps. What's what else? Not schnapps. This was there's a drink from Eastern Germany called Pfeffi. It's a peppermint liquor, that egg liquor, and Jägermeister. Multiple takes of multiple shots at 8:30, and when the shoot was done, our VJ Evgeny he asked me, "Are you okay?" And I just laughed because I was not okay to answer if I was okay.
8:30 a.m. in the morning and you had
Yes.
like four, five is
There
also
were
an understatement.
shots, yeah,
Shots,
shots of each.
but again,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
like hard liquor. Jägermeister considering really hard liquor.
And
And I've
pepper
seen them it
liquor,
done.
trust me. And nobody can tell. Because that was the last part of the shoot, and then we had to go for start our edits. We were running on a deadline, so we had to finish that bit.
My
And it's shot
God.
in our DW canteen, or like one part of the canteen.
This is fun. Hello, Shabnam. Good morning. Today's job
Here
is
are
to,
3 bottles of alcohol for you to
yeah.
drink.
See what is the alcohol, and then we are going to start edits, and you're like, sure, but yeah, I feel
That was really weird. I've never gotten drunk at work, and this getting drunk for work
for
at 8:30 is not how I imagine my work days. But
yeah,
then
this is amazing. This is a
life.
very good. Wow, this is amazing. So now, before we move on to Germany and the very serious questions, I have one thing. So it's not like always we have a guest on the channel who speaks multiple languages. Today we have one. First, I would like to request that you tell the audience how many languages you know. I'm going to list down the ones I know. You know Bengali. I'm also going to consider Kolkata Bengali differently and the Sylheti Bengali
Oh
differently.
yes, this is
Like
very different
it
grammar and
sounds different.
vocabulary.
Exactly,
Yes,
it sounds different. It has different words. English, of course. German, of course. That's it.
Hindi,
Hindi, yeah, Hindi, of course. So five languages here. I'm counting five. I'm not even three of them. So
and I am
five.
A1 level in Tamil or A2. There's debate on that. What is
Okay.
my Tamil level?
So for the audience, I'll tell you the sentence. The sentence is: My cat thinks she's a tiger, but she's terrified of water. Now, English is not. I don't consider English as like you should say it, but all the other four plus languages, do your
Okay.
best.
First with Bangla, with the standard Kolkata Bangla is আমার বেড়াল ভাবে সে একটি বাঘ কিন্তু আসলে তার জলে খুব ভয়। ওকে, নাও ইন সিলেটি আমার মেকুরে ভাবে তাই নেক বাঘ কিন্তু আসলে তাই ফানিত খুব ডর।
That's how that actually sounds so different.
Yeah, it is. Like in Sylheti, in true Sylheti, you don't say biral like you do it in Bangla. You'll say mekur. It's a completely different word.
Yeah.
Sometimes you
Wow.
also say bilai, but that depends on which region you come from. Okay. And then I will have to say it in English, which the language, the sentence is in English.
No. English is fine. English is
I
fine.
can do active voice, passive voice. Then Hindi. मेरी बिल्ली को लगता है कि वो शेर है, पर असल में उसे पानी से बहुत डर लगता है.
Wow, this is fun. Okay.
In German, also meine Katze denkt, dass sie ein Tiger ist, aber sie hat Angst auf Wasser. Das
Very
von
fluent.
Wasser, vom Wasser. So depends on how I
And
feel it.
Arabic.
I know like some words in Arabic because I worked very closely with Arabic
Yeah.
colleagues, but I can't form sentences at all. I can only say random words like khalas, like I'm done. Things things you need in life. Khalas, I know. And I know, yalla, like, hurry.
Wow, wow. Okay, so but yeah, very good. Wow, that was
At least
amazing.
I try. Yeah, but I have to. This sentence I take home as a homework to ask my husband how to say it in
Just
Tamil.
okay, just go home and then you can send me a voice note. I'll put it in the video separately.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Shabnam after homework.
Okay. Okay, now now the cream of the video. These are questions the reason I'm going to ask these questions, which is related to Germany, which is related to Germans, and
Hmm.
I've asked them to students, I have asked them to some of my friends who are in Germany, but I feel you working as a journalist, as a student, as a researcher, as a even as an employee in Germany, you will have a completely different point of view to this. As someone who has lived in Germany, lived in Europe for almost a decade now, do you feel the drastic or like a severe change? I know I'm exaggerating the words, but do you feel that severe change in prices when you are like, okay, I am going to grocery store for shopping? Oh shit, the prices have increased. Do you feel that?
I have been feeling price rise and inflation irrespective of where I go. So this is 2025 now. In 2023, January, February, I was in the US. My jaws dropped to my shoes at the prices. I called my mother and I said, in Bengali, I said, $11 গাজর পাওয়া যাচ্ছে. Like, gajar for $11. Okay, so like I am like, and my mother's like, "Huh?" in the typical Bengali mom voice. And here, I think certain products have become especially expensive. Like I said, olive oil, cooking oil, especially during COVID. I think some of us who were
Yeah.
living here during COVID and then after during the Ukraine war, after Russia invaded Ukraine, the way the prices of wheat, of maida, of cooking oil, things which we are dependent on certain countries for, those became so expensive. During COVID, it was pasta and toilet paper, and then it became
Yeah.
olive oil and
Well,
wheat products. So there's always certain products that are going to be more expensive for certain people. For us, for some people, nothing is going to be ever too expensive. You know, there are these uber rich who probably don't even look at how much a certain thing costs before buying tons of it. But for us, taxpayers, salaried individuals who have to pay rent, have to pay certain amounts of expenses. And some of my colleagues, and some of us Indians, foreigners who live in Germany for a living, some of us also have to send money home. A lot of the people in India or elsewhere depend on the money, their family members send. So we often tend to make adjustments to our lifestyle. I know a lot of colleagues, they're also struggling with the rising housing costs, for example. We often talk about costs of products, but rents have increased so much, and it's no surprise. And you said that, speaking diplomatically is part of my job, but it's also my job to look out the window and say what I'm seeing. And I am seeing the exponential rise of rents in Germany as well. I just moved houses last year. It's been 6 months, so I have first-hand information of how expensive it has gotten, especially in this part of Germany, in Bonn, where I am. And this was not the case at all. When I moved to Germany, the student dorm that I used to pay 196 euros a month for, that same dorm now costs about 300 euros. So there is inflation, there is price rise in so many different things. What we cannot forget, and what we cannot, stress enough on, is what are being done to control this, to counter this. I remember I was in a state of shock during the Russia-Ukraine war in the initial days, when all of us who lived in Germany, we got a 300 euro energy pauschale, which is an energy subsidy,
yeah.
so that was back then. And I expect some things like this from the state, from our representatives here, in India, in the US, wherever the citizens are complaining about price rise. I also expect some steps being taken to combat that, to counter that. The example I gave to you in Germany is already 2 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish I had a more recent example to give.
Three years
So
actually.
like it was August, so not yet three
Okay, yeah.
years. So it's been more than 2 years. So I would say there are issues, there are struggles, everyday struggles of foreigners, residents alike. Price rise being one of the most difficult points, definitely. But yeah, we have to keep talking about this so that there's also a lot of pressure on the authorities to also try and counter this, to try and combat this. We can't just complain in our own bubbles about this.
I want to know from someone who is in Germany, and I'm gonna put this as easy as possible. What is going on? What is
It would have
how
been even more pointed if you had said it in Hindi. ये चल क्या रहा है?
my like exactly क्या हो रहा है भाई मतलब how has the entire politics like I live in Maharashtra and over the last few years our politics like the state politics has been a
Let's
okay
just say diverse.
diverse and then I was like why is Germany pulling off Maharashtra here
No,
so
we are not changing parties like every single day. Like today he's speaking for this, tomorrow he's there, the next day he's there. That is not happening, but everything else.
everything else is happening so just explain what is going on in German politics.
So I think there are like two layers to this. One, this whole shift to the politics of the right, in Germany that we see.
I feel it's Europe, right? And in
I
Europe,
feel it's the world.
there
If
is
you ask my
very,
feeling, it's the world. We have Trump now, who's there,
yeah,
whose
even
ministry
in
has Elon
France,
Musk, who has done Twitter Spaces with Alice Weidel, the
yeah,
spokesperson
exactly. Wow,
of
that is another
AfD.
thing.
So I don't think we can just say it's a German or a European thing. I think it's a world thing. And these terminologies that we use, right, left, center, conservative, far, extreme, all of these have to be taken with a pinch of salt because these what do they mean? They mean certain tendencies, right? They mean certain stances, and nothing is constant today. Nothing is constant when it comes to politics in Germany, and I think a lot has to do with how Germany in general has to deal with so many shifts and major shocking moments in the last 10 years. I would say it has dealt with so many shocking moments for its politics, for its economy, that we now see also such shocking responses to it. Recently, I was in Chemnitz. It's a city on the eastern side of Germany, which has today this year been named as the cultural capital of Europe, one of the cultural capitals of Europe. And Chemnitz is the hub of AfD, of the AfD party.
Yeah.
In 2018, the city was in so much news for these far right protests, demonstrations. Every Monday, almost every Monday, far right groups meet under this huge Karl Marx statue in that city and they demonstrate. So, what do these terms left, right, socialist, center, conservative, liberal mean? They don't mean much. They just refer to certain tendencies which we see almost everywhere in the world today, in some way or the other. The xenophobic tendencies that we see amongst people. It's not unique to France or to some parts of Germany or to the US. Finding an enemy or creating the other, it's something that happens everywhere. Trying to prioritize your own people. What do you mean by your own people? Germans. Who are the Germans? You can take that statement out and you can put it in any context. You will see the making of an other, the making of an enemy is often or the creation of an enemy is often at the center of these shifts of politics. And that's what has happened. That's what has happened here. I came to the first time in 2015 when I was in Europe. My first trip out of Denmark was to Paris for a conference, and through my journey took me via Cologne. I was waiting in Cologne to take a bus, and that day I saw trains full of Syrian refugees coming with everything they
2015.
own. 2015
Oh
October,
yeah.
they had all their baggages, everything they owned on themselves, getting off of train, and the people of Germany in Cologne offering them water, packs of biscuits. That was my first encounter with Germany ever. 10 years back, 10 years from there, so much has changed. And that was also a shocking moment for
Yeah.
many people in different ways. Different ways. The way you see it is a matter of personal perception.
It's
But
a
moments like
polarized,
this,
the decision
exactly,
was polarizing, yeah.
not only polar, it's created a whole spectrum. Like there are
Yeah.
people on the poles, but there are people on different parts in between of the spectrum as well. The same thing happens with most big decisions that the government has taken, or things that have happened to Germany. EU policy, migration policy, the war, the conflict in the Middle East, the Gaza situation. There are tens of thousands of things that have impacted the country that I'm sitting in right now. And the responses are also as diverse as the people there are in this country.
People often feel like AfD was like a part of Germany which always existed, and now people are giving it attention. But I feel it's more of a thing that it came into being because of the actions a country took. And this is not uncommon to Germany. You see this everywhere.
Yeah, but you also see a lot of, for example, in Germany, the Eastern Germany, if you see even today, the remnants of divided Germany,
Divided, yeah.
you see a huge difference in terms of income. You see income inequality between
Exactly,
the
yeah.
West and East. You see a very different way of life. You see a very different division of infrastructure of industries, and that also has a lot to do with the politics that was back
It's
then.
the
A lot of
result
people
of
feel,
the actions.
and a lot of people feel like, I also feel it's not a result of the actions per se, but history. Like
Because of,
because of whatever happened, and these two regions, the West and the East, and Berlin is an island. It's not
yeah,
East.
it's a it's
It's an
a it's
island.
a anomaly. It's an anomaly.
It's something else. But the East and the West have had very different trajectories of their own, right? And since 1991, the attempts at reconciliation and to get both at more or less the same page is very different. In the West, we pay a part of our salary as solidarity surcharge,
Yeah.
solidarity things to help the still help the inequality with the West and the East. But amongst the people in the East, there's also a lot of
Animosity?
sense of betrayal. No, not animosity. There's a sense of betrayal. They feel sometimes, some, not all, some feel betrayed by the policies of the West. They feel like, they haven't been looked at enough. They feel like, because Chemnitz, for example, let's take this one city, which has become this face of far right politics in Germany. The same city has a history of migration of people since the 12th century. It's not new. It didn't happen in 10 years. It has centuries of experience of migration. So what made people there slightly, antagonistic to people of different origins? It didn't happen overnight. They were very
Exactly.
much used
Yeah.
to this. There must have been triggers. There must have been multiple historical triggers that leads to something today. And we often tend to be, we often tend to forget a lot of these important points of history, but things don't happen overnight. Nothing happens overnight
Yeah.
in politics.
Rome wasn't.
Everything has some context. There also had been enough context for a party like AfD to rise in Germany. I wouldn't say rise, to form and then come into prominence.
Yeah.
They are still limited to certain regions and pockets that they have. But if you ask me as a person, I think, and this could be a controversial statement, I think more than AfD, it's the thinking that the AfD represents and pushes that is more dangerous. It doesn't matter if the
Yeah.
party does, if the party disappears tomorrow. If the thinking and the ideas that they propagate that remains, that's detrimental, and that's exactly what happened in Germany.
Whatever happens, whichever party comes into existence or in power, even in coalition, if you take the example of, you cannot take away the fact that Germany still has to function as a country. It's not just going to like, oh, we are closing the doors. Because if you think like in the most extreme way they close the doors, country is going to shut down. Any country would shut down. Any country which closes the door gets completely isolated and the life becomes a hell.
To get back to your point, like you did not expect, like Maharashtra, and and the same thing that you said, that what happens, how does it impact international students? Let's look at it from the country's perspective. Why does Germany need international students? More
The
international students come, learn, and give back to the economy the skills
Yeah.
that they have acquired, or the skills that they already bring. They develop it further, because most of the Indians, they come as master students. They already have some basic skills. They have trained. Some have even had work experience. They hone it further. They upskill themselves for the economy and then contribute to the economy. That's the whole deal that the country has from international students, right? So I think from a state's perspective, this makes sense. But I also think that like IFD cannot be a threat to the international students community, big community per se. On an individual level, on a psychological level, yes. Like political psychological level, you know what I mean? When you are an international student in Germany, you want to come here, you open the news, and every day you see something about this, and you the fear, the angst, anxiety, the fear builds up in your brain, right? And you feel scared, and then you have some real life experiences, some negative experiences here and there, and all of that contributes to your fear, your inhibition a bit more. So in that way, I would say that IFD is not as much a threat to international students as much as the idea of IFD is. As a journalist, I would only see something as a threat to the international students if there's an institutional shift that goes against the international students. For example, there's a lot of institutional shifting rhetoric happening about migration, about people, about Germans with different origins. There's a lot of paradigm shift being discussed, even if it's not a shift completely, but it's in discussion right now. So that, I think, has more potential, than just to blanket term IFD as something that threats the international students. International students have more leverage, I would say, at this point in this economy.
A lot of these students are driven by fear, and I feel that's something which they get from their parents as
Yeah, and
well.
like we also have to, yeah, like there's a lot of fear mongering in the media too. Let's accept that as well. Like just to grab headlines, just to grab more clicks
Exactly.
and views. We also make things make larger than they sometimes maybe I'm not saying that there isn't a threat, but sometimes the fear is conjured to be a much bigger thing than it is. And it also it has like we also have to make an effort to understand the complex politics that happens in Germany. Everything is not so black and white, uh, just like any other country's politics. In India,
Exactly.
can we make such blanket statements about the parties? We can't. There's so many intricate details here and there. So it's interesting to watch as a bystander sometimes.
Do you think Germans are racist towards students and
It's
migrants? Because migrants
yeah.
are completely different demographic. They come for asylum, they come for many different reasons. But expats and students, they come for a purpose, like they have a different purpose. So, do
Yeah.
you think Germans are racist towards
Um,
migrants?
First of all, I personally don't like using the word expats because it comes with a connotation that a hierarchical connotation that expats are qualitatively better than refugees, which I don't agree with.
Yeah.
So I always say foreigners because I don't want to look at their immigration status to put them on a qualitative hierarchy. You may be on a one days tolerating like a duldung category, like a tolerated category visa, or you may be here on a PR or have a German passport. Nothing gives you says that you have the right to be treated any differently by the authority. So having said that, I think I don't believe in any kind of generalizations about anything. Like to ask if Germans are racist towards students or migrants. What if somebody asked me about my own country? Are Indians sexist towards women? I
Yeah.
would disagree with that formulation completely. Even I mean, there's a patriarchal structure, but I can't call all Indians sexist or all Indians patriarchal. It's a similar way in Germany. The society used to be white majority, but I don't think I can call the whole society racist per se. Of course, I have had experiences myself from Germans, from also non-Germans in Germany itself. So and these things happen when there's a certain kind of silent acceptance that it's okay to treat foreigners in certain way. But over the years, I've also learned how to retort back in my own way. So I think we all have to come up with our own defense mechanisms, but that does not justify any of the racist behavior, anything. I mean, I have had people who have refused to take me on a cab just because I am something that they call Ausländer, like a foreigner. So they don't, I have had that. I've also had people asking me again and again where I'm from, only to know Because, and this happened in a conversation with a German, not in Germany, but in a different country. And the person kept asking me, but where are you from? But where are you from? But where are you from? And I said, I'm from Bonn. I'm from Bonn. I'm from Bonn. And I always say this. And then comes the question that I can't avoid is, but where do your parents live? And that's a polite way of formulating a question, just to ask, or just to be sure, if, like, to know what your immigration status is. And that for me is more racist than than saying a racist slur on the street. The small things here and there, I mean, for example, if somebody looks at me and their first instinct is to speak to me in English, and I always answer back in German, and when somebody still continues speaking in English, I know this is racist. It doesn't have to be something to look at me and say, like, I have been called tikka masala on the streets. That is easier. I know somebody is being stupid. Like, this is stupid racism.
That is silly
There's
behavior.
clever racism also, where people try to mask it as
They try to be
curiosity.
coy with it. They try to be
Yeah.
like,
They try to mask racism as curiosity. Like, if I meet a German, I may ask them which part of Germany they are from. I don't ask them, where are you from? Even racists are not of one kind. You
yeah.
will have one person on the street saying, calling you tikka masala, and then the next person you will have, who will have the most well-groomed upbringing, who will have the best vocabulary and have a very clever way of masking their racist undertone. So just like how we can't generalize a society, we also can't generalize racists, be it in Germany or anywhere else in the world.
You get used to it, you develop your own replies to them. And for the people who are completely silly, I feel sometimes it's best to ignore because they are making fun of themselves in public. So,
Yeah, like now when people call me tikka masala, I always say still better than currywurst. So move on. Tastes better than currywurst. Like, what do I say?
yeah.
Like,
The,
you're gonna call me tikka masala and then go home and order yourself butter chickens. Dude, who are we kidding?
I want to know from you, what are the three best things in Germany in comparison to India? And what are the absolute best things in India as compared to Germany?
This I
And
know.
and that India, like when you're speaking in favor of India, you cannot name food.
I cannot name food. This is so unfair. This is so
Because
unfair.
it gives you an easy way out. Because I know
Yeah.
when you're comparing Germany against India, you cannot say
Okay,
food.
I have a food but not food answer.
No, it can be anything. Culture,
Yeah.
technology, anything. Yeah.
I think
Let's
three things that India has better than Germany, definitely. One is entertainment options, like things I can do for fun. Like, I can go out from my street, and I'm speaking from a very Kolkata perspective. Like, you can go out and you can go to Nandon Academy of Fine Arts. There's thousands of, like, plays going on, screenings going on, events going on, music shows going on. You will not be bored. Like,
yeah.
in Germany, also you will not be bored, depending on where you are at. If you're in Cologne or Berlin, of course, your calendar is full 365 days a year. But if you are in, I don't know,
Uh,
Gummersbach, or I don't know, things like that. So, like, from a Kolkata person moving to Bonn, and erstwhile capital nonetheless, I mean, I would still have like lesser things to do than I would have in Kolkata.
yeah.
So I think India has, like, and then you open websites and you see which comedian is performing where, what concert is
Yeah.
happening, blah blah blah, and you have so much to do. No? So I think entertainment wise, India rocks definitely. Number two is clothes,
Yeah.
cheap clothing and good
Cheap.
quality,
Cheap and affordable clothing in a random shop.
where I can also bargain.
Oh yeah. He'll say 500, you'll go home in
The
200.
satisfaction that a shopper comes home with in India is unmatched elsewhere in the world. Like 200 rupees ka cheese, if you get in 150 also, not I'm saying 80 rupees, like even if you get it for 150 rupees, you come home and you tell at least one person, he asked for 200, I paid 150, ha ha ha. That satisfaction.
Yeah.
Now, at
True.
least one person you will say, Dhania free mein mila. Also, this you will say.
Oh yeah. That is something you cannot do in Germany.
This you can't.
Free
So
dhania you can't do.
shoppers gratification, entertainment, definitely India is top. And number three, gossip.
Really?
I mean,
Also,
I miss out a lot on family gossip because I'm away from home, and only when I'm in India, like I'm sitting there in the evening, like everybody's getting together, and I'm like catching up on things that have happened like 1 year in the whole past year, and then this person went there, and then they said, and I'm like eating shingara like Kolkata samosa with like nuts and mirchi, and I'm like, oh really? Acha, फिर क्या हुआ? And these conversations always get hampered with bad internet connection if it's happening via video call. So this I cannot. And my parents just visited me in Germany and went back, and the amount of catching up. Like it was cold, it was snowing. We didn't go out anywhere. We just made buckets of chai and had nice food and just
oh
caught
yeah,
up. And this is something I miss, no? And like even though you can bring your family from time to time, it's not something you get to
yeah.
do that often.
Every
And I
day
grew
thing.
up in a neighborhood where most of my family members were living next to each other, so it was always like a adda
Oh
thing
yeah,
with us. So that
true.
India has definitely leaps and bounds.
Now,
Now moving to Germany. What here is better? Definitely the feeling of the safety and the freedom going out on the streets. Like I can just go out anytime. I have never been heckled as a woman in my what 8 9 years that I've been away, but 8 years in Germany specifically. This this I have this I mean I am very very grateful for this privilege because I now realize how much of a privilege this is, especially in summer when you get to wear whatever the hell you want to wear. So that's one. Number two, what Germany does better is professionalism.
work,
I
work
work
culture.
life balance, like work
Yeah,
culture. Like I come to work at 8:30 and sometimes at 8:15, and I leave exactly when I'm supposed to. Some days I do overtime, but that overtime is also like
compensated.
decided by me,
Yeah, so it's a
not
choice. It's a
forced. It's a
choice.
choice. Like I decide when I do overtime or how much overtime I need to put in. My bosses never tell me that, oh, today Shabnam you have to work until 10 p.m. or 8 p.m. or
Until you
whatever,
finish the work.
until you finish the work. No. Like, and I have worked in Germany. My work life has been in Germany. So, and I have only worked in India for like briefly. So this work-life balance, like
Okay.
seriously, dude, like nobody calls me after 5:30, 5 p.m.
And nobody themselves pick up the calls. Well, I feel they
Yeah,
will just
I am
shut off.
offline. I am offline on Teams, and life goes on. Like if I'm on holiday, nobody calls me. I don't get emails.
Yeah, the choice is what matters. If you
The
want to work
choice.
hard, you will work hard.
Like I
Okay.
like my job. I like working hard in my job. Sometimes I want to finish the work on that
Yeah.
day and I put in the extra hours, but then I inform my bosses and we agree how to compensate this. I even get days off if I'm working on a weekend or if I'm working on
Yeah, exactly.
holidays. That's how it is. That I really, really, really value. I also one more privilege that I have. What else Germany does better? Oh,
What?
I know what Germany does better. Public sports events. We may have cricket as our second religion, but
Yeah.
we enjoy most cricket at home.
Oh,
We
yeah.
are
Like,
not on the streets, nukkad ke dukaan pe drinking chai in big screen only if it's World Cup and India has made to the finals probably.
yeah,
Then,
true.
then you will do a public, neighborhood screening. But here, the amount of enthusiasm people have even for local neighborhood football clubs is
Oh,
inspiring
yeah.
to say the least. Like public commitment to sports. Every family with a child will have their children doing one sport at least, if not two. And parents will go do sports. They will even watch sports together. It doesn't only have to be football. It can be basketball, netball, softball, hockey, ice hockey, gymnastics, anything. And people support their neighborhood teams in such huge number. Like Bonn has a telecom
Yeah.
basketball team, and when Telecom Baskets is playing in Bonn, it looks like half the city is not working. It's like we are watching the
Everyone
game.
supports it. Like, it's a
It's like a thing. Like if you,
cultural thing.
it's a cultural thing. It's I as a Bengali like who has lived in Kolkata, I relate a lot with this with the East Bengal Mohan Bagan thing. I relate a
Yeah.
lot with this. But India in general, we don't have this communal affinity towards sports as much as we think we do. We enjoy cricket inside our homes. We
Cricket is
fight
a
about it
cricket is a
and
different
everything.
thing because it's
But
ingrained.
sports in general, like
Yeah,
sports in
but
general.
other sports we don't really do that well, I feel.
Yeah, I
Here
used to play
is,
kabaddi in school. I used to love kabaddi, and like I was so into this. But like here, it gives me so much like into to just see parents just finding so much joy in looking at their children fall
yeah.
on the street and like mitti mein aise hai, and they're like so happy with it. Like that, I think
Germans,
is sports and fitness. Like they do it 100%.
now this is like a rapid fire thing,
You
okay?
think I have not read the questions? I may not have prepared, but I have read them.
Yeah, you've read. That's why you're like answering like question which is coming like in next section. You've answered them, but now you know what?
So you can cut and paste, no? Editing mein
No,
this will be
no.
easy.
Now I want to do rapid fire with you.
Okay, do.
Okay. First of all, do you think it's a rapid fire? Okay, just you have to give a
I know what a rapid fire is.
two
I have grown
sentence.
up watching Coffee with Karan also.
Oh wow. Do you think Germany is an ideal country for someone who wants to settle down?
Yes. It was a rapid fire, right? So yes or
Yes,
no.
like explain one sentence at least.
और टैक्स का full benefit मिलता है.
Oh yeah, tax.
You don't feel bad paying tax. At least
Yeah,
I don't.
you'll see why you're paying tax.
Yeah.
For female students who are coming to Germany, do you think Germany is safe for women and
Yes.
girls?
Yes, because try wearing anything you want in summer and going out and see how many people look at you. If more than three people look at you, it's not. But
Exactly.
I can guarantee less than three people will look at you.
What's the
Because
biggest
they themselves are busy looking at the beer bottle or chilling at the sun. They don't have time to look at you, what you're wearing.
What's the biggest cultural shock you faced in Germany?
That people go into sauna naked.
Oh wow, so many people say the same thing. Okay, if you are eligible, which I'm pretty sure you are, to take the German citizenship, would you take it?
Yes, because और कहाँ मिलेगा 192 देशों में free visa entry. Dude, अपने देश में जाओ वहाँ पे airport में the line that you stand in, because even if you come here, you travel from India to Germany. This is lived experience, okay? You travel from India to Germany. You land in Frankfurt. Let's assume you land
Yeah,
in Frankfurt because 90% of the chance you will
yeah,
land in
you go
Frankfurt.
Frankfurt.
The immigration line for EU passport holders and for all other
There's no
passport holders.
line for EU passport holder because there's the automation system.
Exactly. But people are still lining up there, waiting for their turn, and like
Yeah,
ऐसा scan करके they're leaving. And here I am with 500 other of my fellow भाई बहन, the whole drama. This, and you think that okay, अपने देश में तो मेरा ही राज है. Then you land in Delhi. There, the Indian passport holder line is the longest.
yeah,
And
it's very
other
long.
passport, and there also, other people are like scanning and going while we are waiting.
Now, what is your favorite? What are your favorite German dishes? Name three. Can't name. Okay, don't name any currywurst or something like that. Just name
No,
some
no.
nice ones.
My most favorite German dish is a dessert. It's a cake called Bienenstich, which means bee sting, and it does not hurt. It's a party. Like trust me. Can I describe it to make you feel jealous? Because
Yeah,
I'm going to
please.
buy it on
I
my way
have.
home today. So you start with a layer of biscuit, like the biscuit pie crust thingy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Then you have a vanilla sponge cake with layers of cream in between, like whipped cream in between with
Normal.
vanilla.
Yeah.
On top, that is the best part, is patla patla sliced almonds that have been set in caramel, which
The
is on top.
caramelized almond slices.
Remember chicky?
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
That, but thin almonds, thinly shaped. So when you cut through the cake, you take this whole chicky layer, cake layer, whipped cream, biscuit, everything. After that is bratwurst, but it's not currywurst, it's like the normal
Yeah.
bratwurst with mustard because that's my favorite. I love a good bratwurst. And I also like this Schwein Haxe, I think it's called Haxe. I think Haxe. I forget the name. It's a pork knuckle. It's this whole thing that's slow cooked.
Schweinhaxe,
Schweinhaxe.
yeah.
It's cooked like slow cooked, and
Slow
it
cook,
comes with this
yeah.
rotkohl, this red cabbage, and then potatoes. Dude, I can eat that as like one meal, or from my sofa में लेटी रहूँ सारा दिन.
What is your favorite type of German bread?
Oh, my favorite is definitely because I always have gluten free, so it's for me it's Eiweißbrot. It's
Okay,
protein
perfect.
bread.
Like I love you have good taste. What is your best
I have
in
thyroid. That's why I can't have gluten. It's not good taste. It's good diseases. Blessed with the best of genes. Such a serious podcast, no?
Yeah. I remember talking about politics and then we just went into,
Just
how.
life in Germany. You talk about politics, but then you also have Eiweißbrot.
Describe your ideal dinner.
Ideal dinner, it's the question is incomplete. When? When meaning what time
Win-
of the year? Or if I
Winter
have just
ideal
come
dinner.
back from India, or if I am in
No, no.
India or I'm in Germany.
You are in Germany. You can get any Indian dish. You can get US, UK, whatever dish you want. It's the middle of winter. It's very like it's freezing outside. You are wearing double the layer of clothes you're wearing right now. And what is your ideal dinner?
Luchi mangsher ghugni. Do you know luchi? This
No.
Bengali puri, which is puffed, it's
Yeah,
white, it's
I
pristine, angel-like.
had that
That
with.
at least 10 of those, at least, or multiples of 5 to your liking. I once had a family record of eating 18 luchis in one go back then. So luchi with mangsher ghugni. Ghugni is like pile chane, like cooked in like chana masala,
Yeah.
like chana
Uh,
masala properly, but cooked in like cooked not with chane but with yellow peas, the round ones.
okay, yeah.
I
Okay.
don't know how better to explain it, but with mutton in this mangsher ghugni because it's Bengali. So
Yeah, so
mangsher
this is
with
like Bengali chole bhature.
yeah, but
Very
not
general.
bhature, luchi,
Yeah, luchi. Like, of course, bhatura is
luchi.
like too big. Yeah.
Yeah, and then instead of chane, we have ghugni with mangsho in it because
Yeah.
Bengali cannot do vegetarian. We have to
Yeah.
have mangsho in it, and the thing has to be cooked like the chane ghugni has to be cooked the day before, so the flavor becomes like they get to know each other better. Like the chana and the meat get to know each other better,
So we're like
and
a
when
true
they come to
Bengali.
you,
You know?
of course,
Like,
dude.
when any Bengali you speak about food, it's like, everything has to mix together. Like, the flavors have to
Yeah,
come together.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you have to let them know each other. Like,
Like if it is
the
cold
passion
and
for
like
food
you
is
yeah
unmatched.
yeah like dude you should like I tell people follow me on Instagram to see how much I cook. So
Bengali
much to
and their
eat.
love with fish, like in food, non-veg food in general, is unmatched. You
This is
put
our religion first. Fish, then football,
even
then
if they have done
politics.
hard labor for 20 hours and the 21st hour they'll sit
Hard
down.
labor and Bengalis.
Oh yeah, I just
What?
hypothetical.
You don't know my region at all.
At the 21st hour they'll sit down with you and they'll explain you why. Oh, I forgot the dish name. It's so hard to pronounce. What's your favorite dish?
My
The
favorite.
the luchi.
Luchi, ghugni.
Yeah, they'll tell you how to make it. They'll tell you how the flavors come together.
And then they'll tell you during partition when they were kids back then. Back then, Luchi was very scarce. We could not get it every story will start, no, from there, and then the history, and then something to do with the left government, and then something with Trinamool, Mamta. Everything will feature there, no?
Everything will come together
Yeah, and it will,
because
and in the end, we'll be like, so let's have a cup of tea and
let's
some
go.
singara. Yeah, and then Rasgulla in the end.
I feel the biggest culture shock, which we can end this video on, is that when Germans come to India, their biggest culture shock won't be there's so much crowd, there's so much noise, there's so much traffic. Their biggest culture shock would be I can get groceries in 8 minutes, I can get food in 20 minutes
Yeah, that's for our wedding.
for
We had some
free.
German friends came for some of our German friends came for our wedding to Kolkata, and their biggest surprise was that you could get anything delivered, right from underwear to food.
Everything. Now
And
with
this friend was like just ordering, not for like need, but for surprise value.
experimentation.
He's
Like,
like,
is it true?
I will order roti tadka and underwear and some charger at the same time.
But it's so fun. India
Yeah.
is a radically and rapidly changing country, same as Germany, considering the past few months.
Yeah, it's
And
fun.
but thank you so much, Shabnam. Thank you so much for giving your time. It was really amazing to speak with you. It's going to be much more amazing to edit this podcast now.
Thank you so much for having me, and yeah, for this very serious, professional, formal podcast that we
I
did.
learned so much about Luchi.
Gugni. Yeah, this is exactly what I saw myself talking about on a podcast about my
In
work and
2013.
Germany. Yeah, in 2013, I had no clue. And now also you can see that I barely have any clue because while talking about DW, my work, Germany, there comes in Luchi Gugni. So, so yeah, everything is falling onto place. Everything is right according to plan. And I have a lot of focus in my life.
Same, same.
And yeah,
Tomorrow, PhD is also getting completed. You're going
of
to get the
course.
German citizenship is also coming.
Yeah, yeah. And then I will eat my Luchi Gugni to celebrate.
Thank you so much for coming over. It was really amazing to speak with you. It was an amazing experience, and I'm sure
Thank you,
everyone is going
thank
to
you.
love it.
Thank
Uh,
you. It was fun for me too to do this nonsense chatter, non-stop chatter in the middle of a working day. Who would have
yes,
thought?
and when the sun is also coming, I wanted to point
It's,
that out. The sun has come out.
like when I was sitting, my face was like this,
Yeah,
and now it's like this. So yeah, I'm
but
very happy about the weather in Germany today. Oh my God.
yeah, the sun has come out. It's like a rare occurrence. But I feel it's a good thing. I feel we should stop
Yeah.
professionally. Thank you so much for coming. It's
Thank you so much for
amazing.
having me. It's
What a
amazing.
serious
Yeah.
discussion this was. And
Thank you
yeah.
so much for having me.
Germans on bikes.